Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to another high-level game of StarCraft 2. Today we have a Terran versus Protoss best of 3 against the hottest new Terran in the European town, and it's going to be none other than the Russian Terran player Milkicow, playing for team X-Alien X, I think, or just X-Alien, my apologies. And in the top right, spawning as the blue Protoss player, it is the American Protoss, Trigger. And I say American, and when I say that, I believe he might actually be Canadian. Not entirely sure right now, and I'm starting to doubt myself. Playing for Team Superri. I'm not quite sure what this team is. I haven't quite heard of it, and I doubt that's the entire name of the team. There's probably something else there. Anyway, both players very up and coming, extremely good, been performing well as well in the DreamHack America, the DreamHack EU for Trigger and Milkicow respectively. And Milkicow is a player that is just extremely interesting to me. This is the type of guy that in 5-game proxies 7 different structures, starting with the barracks, followed up by a proxy factory. He just has a crap ton of build orders that I find quite cool. It's not quite what's happening right now, as instead we have a command center on the high ground, moving into a marine, followed up by a quick factory. Now, it's still possible that we'll see a proxy starport over here, but it's also completely viable that he's just going to be building a couple of Hellions from home, or even mines. This type of opener, especially with the factory right next to the barracks though, often does lead to a reactor factory. So whatever the follow-up is going to be, I don't know, but I do know that most likely it's going to be a reactor factory. Marine pops out and immediately moves downstairs, of course. We have a tech lab coming out, so perhaps not a reactor factory after all. It could just be a cyclone rush too. So quick cyclone into 3 racks is an opener we've seen a lot out of Koreans specifically. Maybe... Oh, okay, well this is fairly odd. It's going to be a Marauder here, and I guess with fast Hellions as a follow-up. Marine into double Marauder, double Hellion? Is that it? So we do a little bit of a push out. It's going to suck though, as Trigger is already opening up with a quick Stargate. And has the Nexus down, is chronoing the second Adept as well. First Marine moves towards the far left side of the map, scouting for any potential proxies, but also just to get around the map a little bit, maybe start moving across the map at some point. Concussive is about to finish up in about 8 and 9 seconds. Marauder's going to get spotted. That is a pretty big deal here. Concussive not quite done. Oh no, he should have waited a little bit with that shot. Wait until the Concussive finishes up, because he would have remained in range for at least a little bit longer. It's kind of frustrating. Now, this first Oracle is most likely just going to stay at home. Does need to be chrono boosted, though, in order for it to be there in time. This Hellion will start moving in towards the main base. You need perhaps one hit with these probes as well is definitely going to help. I don't actually think that these 2 Marauders are going to be capable of doing anything whatsoever. Second Marauder isn't even here yet. Second Hellion is moving out on the map, and this start here did not go too well whatsoever for Milkicow. Milkicow lost the Hellion. The build order pretty much fell apart. Now Milkicow does have scouting on that 3rd base location, as we see the robotics facility going down, as well as a Phoenix follow-up. That means most likely it's going to go into Phoenix Colossi. Cyclone will pop out in right about now. Vikings also about to finish up. Oracle takes a decent chunk of damage, and the question now is going to be, what will the follow-up be here for Milkicow? Seems to be a second barracks, perhaps followed by a quick 3rd barracks as well. Now, I don't think any major damage will be taken here on the side of Milkicow, and this Hellion actually does pop in, get a little bit of scouting info, maybe even gets... No, doesn't really end up getting a probe. I think so far 0 probes have died. Unit loss shows 200 resources lost on the side of Milkicow. That should be 2 Hellions. Yeah, there we go. Do see the 2 Hellions pop up in the units lost there. 3rd base is going to be taken. This will be a relatively safe 3rd base here. It's late as well, meaning that the eco won't be as great. We already see that there's some a little bit of oversaturation going on right now in the naturals. We have full saturation with 44 workers. That means that for the next, 71 seconds that this Nexus will be building, Trigger is going to be oversaturated in either the main or the natural to some degree, and that just costs a lot of money. On top of that, the longer your Nexus gets delayed, the less workers you have, because, well, every 12 seconds that a Nexus is earlier will gain you 1 probe, and that is not including Chrono Boost, of course. So a Nexus a minute earlier will get you 5 extra probes pretty quickly, and in this case it also would allow for quicker mining. We now already see some long distance mining going on here on the side of Trigger. That's just very, very painful, of course, just losing a lot. Mule's providing that extra eco here for Milkicow, as we do have the double mines. Double Vikings as well, so that should help against the Phoenixes, and honestly also against the Colossi. The Phoenix count isn't that large though, only at 4. No Forge yet. No Twilight either. I can almost smell the Fleet Beacon going down here. This is a weirdly placed Forge as well, by the way, right next to the edge. Super vulnerable. Super vulnerable. If we take the gases before the Twilight Council, I'm actually getting very big Fleet Beacon vibes here. Big carrier vibes out of this Protoss player. Oh yeah, most definitely. This would be way too late for any type of charge to start. +1 could begin. Could also just be for cannons, of course, here. Just have to wait and see exactly what the plans are here for Trigger. So far, no plans. Just continuing to build Phoenix after Phoenix, Colossi after Colossi. Next Colossi already lined up. Next Phoenix not quite lined up. There's 6 Phoenixes out right now. 7th on the way. 3rd Colossi also being built. We have a single 4 mine drop heading towards the far left side, while this push is heading out towards the middle. Technically, Trigger can be aware of this because he only sees a single medevac, and medevacs always build in pairs. These 2 Vikings will fly into this 1 Phoenix. Might actually be capable of taking out this 1 Phoenix. This is just a lone little Phoenix. And once these Vikings get chased by the Phoenixes, that's when the drop is going to get in. Beautiful little sequence here out of Milkicow. It's going to have a fantastic time over here, even letting the Vikings saying, hey, you'll need to expend some of that energy, but on top of that, also it will take a little more time to kill these Vikings here. Come the mine drops, 2 in towards the natural, boost towards the, or sorry, 2 in the 3rd, and then 2 heading in towards the natural. Ooh, at the same time, a big army pushing in towards the natural. 1 mine is going to end up dropping. Phoenixes will get taken out. At least one of them gets taken out. First Colossi gets sniped as well. Great positioning here out of Milkicow, who's just straight up winning the game right now. Completely blindsiding his opponent with that initial 2 Viking harass. And 2 Vikings actually winning the game here. Although I'm not so sure if it actually is completely over. A lot of these units are fairly low. There is thermal lance on this Colossi. And it's still 60 workers as well here. 10 workers have gone down. It should have been 70 workers. This cannon is actually helping out as well. At the same time, a double drop heading towards the left side. Triple cannon are in position. We'll start targeting down this medevac. 1 medevac goes down before dropping a single unit out. Tank moves in as well. Mine will just get a single worker. How many Phoenixes are still alive? 2 Phoenixes, 1 Colossi is the current unit count. I think there also was a Zealot there, and that means that right now it's just 2 Colossi, 1 Phoenix out. What a terrible unit comp. This is definitely not going to work. We still have a Viking in the main base as well. Great hold position control here. Oh, Viking is going to get killed here by Parry the Probe. Don't think it's going to matter though. This tank is still going strong. Probably should just target down these probes rather than going for the Colossi that are being healed by the super battery. However, 26 workers have gone down. We have a lot of worker production on the way. First carrier coming out for the Protoss right now, who has a double fleet beacon? Excuse me. What's the point of that? What is the point of the double fleet beacon? Getting the Tempest upgrade as well as the anti-impulse crystals for the Phoenixes maybe. But surely it's just a mistake. We have Tempest as well as a carrier on the way right now, but this entire situation just is complete garbage here for Trigger. He has a bunch of cannons at the 3rd base, might be capable of surviving some of the smaller pushes, but we have a big drop heading in towards the main base with 2 medevacs as well. Milkicow is a very quick player, likes to go for these high tempo plays. A couple of cannons in the natural with a battery, might be capable of holding this. At the same time, it's just pure Colossi in the main. Tempest will help out, can target down that mine. These Marauders actually should not be capable of killing this. We have a couple more Marauders coming in. Battery, not quite enough heal to keep the Colossi alive. Carriers, not enough damage output to take these Marauders out. But it seems like that, at least for now, Trigger is going to hold. And that is good. Sorry, just hit my microphone there with my hand. This is a very wild game. And despite the terrible start for Trigger... No, he's actually still really dead. No, yeah, there's 16 Marauders, there's 12 Marines there. No, yeah, no, nothing despite. It's just, he's in a terrible spot here, and if he's in position, he can perhaps hold one location, but if he gets caught out of position one, it's going to be hard. There's so many Marauders here, though. Super Battery cannot be activated. I doubt there's any energy available. Both Colossi will go down. There's absolutely nothing to deal with these Marauders right now. 2-2 is about to finish up as well. Super Battery for now is going to hold, but it does get sniped. Medevacs are here to heal. The probes get pulled away, but every single probe is going to fall. Fort base already in position for Milkicow. This is just absolutely over right now. There's just not enough anti-air to deal with this carrier and this single Tempest. But there's also not enough damage output to deal with these Marauders before they're going to be capable of taking out this Nexus. 12 workers have gone down. 69 workers are on the side of Milkicow against the 42. 2-2 as well as Enhanced Shockwave is finishing up right now. I mean, this is just absolutely over. Extra barracks would not be a luxury at this point, but Milkicow is playing a fantastic game. He had a great initial sequence with these two Vikings. Let's not forget about these two Vikings. The absolute heroes of the game, sacrificing their life for the Dominion. And definitely did pay off. Third base is going to fall as well, which is the second base right now. And Trigger gets blasted back into a single base. So practically back to where he started in this game. With a single base and also a fairly similar worker count here. Only 30 workers 12 minutes into the game. I'm not quite sure why we're still in the game. Ghosts are already out dealing with these interceptors. More mines moving forward. He knows that the 2-2 is done. I mean, this game is just so extremely over at this point that staying in is almost an insult to his opponent, saying, hey, although I'm down 70 supply and 40 workers and 3 bases, I still believe that I'm so much better than you that I can stay in. That's kind of what it feels like. It's really insulting. I mean, no matter how many times you'll insult your opponent with a move like this, I don't really think it's going to matter. These Marauders are just moving through. We'll take out another base over here. There is a Nexus mining on the right side, but it's 3.5k mineral income, 4k mineral income at the income peaks here against a mere 1k. So out mining mineral-wise 3 to 4 times. We do have the triple extra barracks on the way as well right now. We have this planetary that is still mining. We have a base on the 5th being constructed on position. Ooh, is this barracks 9, 10 and 11? Yes, it indeed is. Milkicow right now is scratching his head like, is there maybe like a hidden base? Like, why is this guy staying in? What's happening here? Sure, carriers are good, but they're not this good. Robobay needs to be reconstructed. Is there even a robotics facility? Yeah, there's a robotics facility at the Natural. It's pumping out an Immortal right now, but even if magically 7 Immortals would spawn at this point, I still don't think Trigger would be in a good position. The problem is just the eco over here. Now, this is the one thing that might... Oh, I was gonna say maybe a base trade, but then again, it also wouldn't work. Like, nothing just works here. The game is completely over. Carriers did come back home. GG gets called as Milkicow wins game number 1 here in pretty dominating fashion. And after that dominating performance in game 1, I'm kind of curious to see how Milkicow will take it from here. That's a non-proxied SCV. Way too slow. It looked like he wanted to go down the ramp, but then it just went back. Not quite sure what he wanted to do with his life. Do you want a proxy or not? No. He didn't. Pylon Scout around the base. That is an interesting move, actually. That's a really interesting move. This scout is so fast that it would be too early for a lot of the proxy Rexes. Because the barracks only starts now. So it technically would have been possible if the SCV arrives late, that the barracks would go down at this spot right now, and Trigger would be none the wiser. That would be extremely unfortunate. That would be extremely unfortunate. This is why not many people do that Pylon Scout. Sure, majority of the time the SCV is going to be a little bit earlier, but it is, I don't know, it's pretty tricky. It's just scouting around, and we'll go back home with this probe. Maybe get a Nexus before core in that case. If you get this early of a scout, seems to be the case. Yes, this probe's already downstairs. Double worker into the gas right now as well. I wonder how economical this is compared to like how economically sound this is compared to like a core first with like a gate scout. It wouldn't surprise me if economically this is actually slightly worse. What's that core timing in this case? 7 seconds, 8, 32. Oh, that's actually pretty decent. That is not too bad. It's going to finish at what? 106? 108. 108 it's going to finish up. Okay, that's actually pretty decent. It's not a bad timing whatsoever. I can dig that for sure. It's faster than I actually expected it to be. I'm not gonna lie about that. Most likely going to see another Stargate, by the way. Just the way that I know Trigger. Seeing the skip on the warp gate here immediately. Yep, this is going to be a Stargate for sure. At the same time, a similar opener coming out of Milkicow, in that this was a factory before any type of add-on. This time it's going to be the reactor though, rather than anything else. And this time I really do believe that we're going to be seeing a reactor factory. If it's anything but a reactor factory, I'd be shocked. Okay, I was shocked last game when I saw the tech lab starting. I just hit my shock rather well. No, no gasps or that type of sound. I'm not even quite sure what you'd call that. But you know, I just hit my surprise and my shock. Hiding emotions, very important skill to have. Phoenix first, coming out of Trigger. Okay, interesting move. He's going to lose this Adept, by the way. It's also an interesting move. Should lose this Adept, but some miscontrol there on the cars. That actually is really painful. That is extremely painful here for Milkicow. He's not going to get that Adept, which was a free pickup. That actually was a free pickup. He could have gotten that for 100% free. Now instead we're getting a mine and a third Hellion. This is one heck of a build order. He really should have taken out this Adept. I think this is a mistake. I understand that this was the initial plan, but sometimes when things change in life, you also need to change. You need to adapt, and this is 100% not the correct call right now. Yep, he's going to get absolutely 0 kills here, and loses 2 Hellions, so basically for free. Well, not basically for free, just for free. He lost 2 Hellions for free right now. There is 4 mines being produced. Medevac is on the way as well. With these, with only the 3 mines. What's that 4th mine gonna do? I don't quite understand the purpose of this Hellion. Perhaps just to scout whether there's a 3rd or not. There's only 2 Marines at home. Should not be enough for these 2 Adepts. Mines need to burrow up. Raise the depot, raise the depot, raise the depot. Ooh, depot doesn't get raised. Was that blocking? Were these mines blocking? Adepts are going to finish their shade as well, while the Phoenixes are in a good position. This is looking terrible for Milkicow at this moment. He's going to lose a decent chunk of SCVs. Will not be capable of dealing any damage whatsoever. At least, I don't believe it. There's an armory as well here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Oh my god, the Phoenixes move out of position. That is so unlucky. We're going to get double shots out of every single mine here. I don't think the Observer is going to be in time. So double shots all around, right? So 25 seconds. Maybe with a chrono boost. If he has enough units and enough lifts in position, it could be possible. Another quadruple mine drop. It's going to be really close. We might actually get double shots because there's not enough units in position to deal with this. Observer is going to be out right now. Okay, this is what... Ooh, Pro Pool, that's kind of risky. Okay, he counted. He for sure counted. Otherwise, you would not be that confident in your ability to take him out. He counted when the first mine shot. Ooh, this is a nice bait. If this works, I'll be surprised though. This type of stuff almost never works. It's so obvious as well. Oh my god, it's gonna work. Poof! Oh, oh, oh! Poof! Tricked. And the 3 mines managed to walk away. He's going to go back in again. That was a mistake. He actually tricked him completely, and now he's going to lose the medevac anyway. As this mine heads over towards the 3rd base, it's going to get picked up though. Is this a good start here for Trigger? I don't actually know. 30C is already done. No, this feels very good for Trigger. Yeah. Worker count is solid. 3rd Nexus is about to finish up. We have a 2nd Stargate, a Robo Bay. So once again wanting to go for these carriers. And we have another triple mine drop set up here. This time around, this mine drop should not go in before the Phoenixes get spotted on Milkicow's side of the map. I think it's a mistake to go in with this mine drop. I think it's a mistake to even have it here already. Ooh. Trigger a little bit slow with the response there. Milkicow also a little bit slow with the response. These mines need to drop, are not going to be capable of dropping in time. I don't think so. No, we get 1 hit. We have another mine drop heading out. Oh my god. Infinite mine drops. This is what, like the 4th? The third. Wait, maybe this medevac stayed alive and just picked up new mines. These Phoenix now move towards the right side. This alternating pattern has been figured out. It really has been. TC moving over towards the third as well. Barracks 4 and 5 on the way. If I'm in Milkicow's position right now, what would I be doing? Probably start writing my Battle.net forum post, complaining about the Phoenix as a unit. But if I were to plan on still trying to win this game, what would my plan be? I don't think I'd have a plan. I like this mine drop, it's working. It's somewhat working. I mean, it's not super working, but it's, you know, it's probably going to deal a little bit of damage. That's not out of range of the detection though, is it? Good hit. 5 worker kills, actually kind of big. These Phoenixes are absolutely blasting on this side of the map though. No target fire. Oh, these 2 Marines! There's 2 super low Phoenixes. I think if there was some target fire here, that could have definitely done something. This mine almost gets another shot off. We have a single mine on this base. These Phoenixes actually taking a lot of damage. Target fire. 2 Phoenixes are going to fall. What am I watching here? Ooh, couple of lifts. 3 Phoenixes just there dying. How many Phoenixes have we lost so far? 5. Okay, what wait, we're playing 8 racks off of 3 base? Okay. I wanted to say that I dig it, but I don't really actually. I think this is horse crap. This build is not really good. You need a faster 4CC with that. I think at least. You can't even really afford 8 racks of 3 base without... While also getting the upgrades. I think he has double Evo, or double eBay, yeah, and the armory is there. There's no way you can afford any of this. While getting Ghost? No shot, dude. Good hits of these mines, though. We're going to take out a bunch of these Phoenixes. It always feels like that when a Protoss plays carriers, that the early game cannot be bad for the Terran, no matter what happens. Like, this was a game in which the Terran lost absolutely everything, hardly dealt any damage. But yet, Terran is just up, 20 supply, has map control. That's the problem with carriers. Carriers are similar to mech. It's like you can have a great early game as a Protoss, or as a meching Terran, but the opponent can just basically get the eco that they want and then start doing what they want, just from a slightly worse position. So you can lose in the early game, but you can't really win. It seems really, really difficult to do that. This type of drop, though, against Colossi Phoenix Carrier is usually just a really bad call, because this type of stuff is always going to happen. Now, these 2 mines are going to shoot on the interceptors. That means the interceptor count will be very little. At the same time, majority of these Marines are going to survive. Phoenix are going to continue chasing as well. I'd love to see just like 5, 6 more Phoenixes being constructed. Maybe a 3rd Stargate just for Phoenix production here would be good. Milkicow is in a position right now where he wants to start pushing out on the map. Into this 3rd base even. I would not suggest that. There's 8 barracks out. And the 4th base is flying over. 2nd upgrade, the armor upgrade, is super important. Instead we see ship weapons and an extra starport. Triple starport production. Wow. This is like how Dream plays. Very heavy on the production, initially with that 8 racks, trying to deny the 4th for as long as possible, and then transitioning into triple starport Viking production. That is the play, huh? What was that in natural? Okay, it's just a couple of Marines that ran... Did they run by? I think they just ran by the cannon and now are working on this freaking assimilator. Good scan. Scary to attack into this though, isn't it? It's not that many units though. Especially considering how many Marauders there is over here for tanking power. Almost feels like you could attack this as long as there's no disruptors. I've seen some fights of the top Terrans against an army like this. It looks crazy. It looks... Sometimes in these situations, Terran looks really broken with the EMP because there's no real solid way of dealing with Ghost Marauder when you have an army like this. You're like, okay, I have a lot of carriers, but if you can fight this really well with like 25 Marauders and like 30 Marines in the back, it can look really powerful. However, if you don't control your army perfectly, the TOS army will completely bop you. It won't be close. It is scary to engage into this. It really is scary. I don't actually think Vikings in low numbers will make this fight much better. If you're going into Viking production, you need to get into like 20-ish Vikings before you start truly using them. I don't think this is something that is possible. I just do not believe that this is possible. Milkicow disagrees, move forward with a lot of these Marauders tanking the damage. Marines and Ghost in the back are taking out the Interceptors. Super Battery is here and the Colossi stay alive. And if the Colossi stay alive while there's no Marauders left, that means that every single Marine is just going to straight up die. This was a fight that should not have been taken. Yeah, this really is just the thing with the Vikings. If you're going into Vikings, you cannot go for a bust move like this if you only have 4 Vikings. You need to wait till you have the Viking numbers to basically one-shot or 2 volley Colossi or to 1 volley carriers. That's it. You cannot go before that because they just have no value whatsoever in a fight like this. Like taking out Interceptors, no. You'd rather have more Marines for that or add a couple of Ghosts there, maybe some Marauders. Like if you want to go for a bust like this, you stick with the 8 Rex for a long time. And I think there was an opportunity there if it was pure 8 Rex production continuously without the Vikings and you're maxed at that point. If there's no disruptors to break something like this. However, if you're adding 6, 8 Vikings, you're adding a lot of infrastructure for these air units, this is not the way to move forward. And now Milkicow actually lost a little bit of map control as well, which is kind of painful. Of course, trading out these bio units is important if you want to grow your Viking count, but you could just stop bio production as well. That's a viable plan. 3-3 should be on the way soon. 5th base is already done. 6th base is done already as well, isn't it? Yeah. So there were 6 bases, pure orbital commands, by the way. Correct call here. Absolutely the correct call out of Milkicow. Do not want to be wasting any money into planetaries. Ooh, this is a fight you cannot take yet, I think. Here is Milkicow. This is a fight you cannot take yet. Here is Milkicow. I do not believe this is a fight that Milkicow can take. He is taking it and is getting completely wiped off the map for a 2nd time in a row. Nah, this is technically an all-in army out of the Protoss. It's just a late-game composition. But if you're pushing across the map, this army becomes all-in. And in that case, Milkicow needs to fight it at home. He needs to have sufficient EMPs to blanket this army. There need to be enough Vikings, and ideally you have turrets as well. If you want to engage aggressively, you also need to have the perfect army. But after that fight that Milkicow took near the 4th base, I don't think there was any way where you're going to kill your opponent after. It's just not possible. It's simply an unrealistic expectations, right? Oh my god, that's a huge disruptor hit. It's going to kill a lot of stuff. No Colossi in this army means that Marines are a little bit more viable than perhaps they should be, but the Viking count is just too little, and with 6 Vikings you can't really achieve anything. There's 88 Interceptors out currently. You have +2 attack on these carriers as well. The unit count is just way too small here for the Russian Terran player. Taps out, GG, Trigger wins game number 1 in a very, very convincing fashion. Now if you have a game like that where it felt like Milkicow was performing very poor in the early game, and then he follows up with 2 absolutely terrible fights, but yet the game kind of felt close. It really looked like Milkicow had a good idea of what he wanted to do against this composition. If I were Trigger in this position, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going for the same thing again here. It didn't work out in game 1 when you got blasted in the early game, and honestly it didn't really work in game 2 either. Yes, you won the game, but more due to a really poor fight out of Milkicow. It felt like the setup for Milkicow into a late game was way better than what Trigger had, and that was on Glittering Ashes, one of the best maps, because it's relatively long. It's an easy defendable 4th bases, easy to defend the area between natural and 3rd as well. I'm just not sure. I'm just looking at that and thinking to myself, would I play the same thing again against Milkicow? I think the answer is no. I don't think I would. It just didn't feel like it had a lot of power. That build did not have a lot of power. It had no map control. The Phoenix control was kind of subpar, honestly, as well. It wasn't great. We already have a switch up here as we get a core before Nexus, a scout across the map. We're seeing a faster adapt because of that. We will be seeing a faster adapt, and also it is likely that it won't transition into Stargate tech. Now, the reason for that is quite simple. When you play Nexus before your cybernetics core, the follow-up build order is to get a gas into a pylon. However, if you get the core before the Nexus, in order not to get supply blocked, you need to get the pylon before the assimilator. This lowers your overall gas count, and it's the Stargate is the building that requires the... Oh, what happened here? Recon the probe. As the Stargate is the building that requires the most gas, having a Nexus before core when playing Stargate feels very comfortable. It delays your tech the most if you're playing Stargate and you go core before Nexus. So often when you see core before Nexus, it is not a Stargate follow-up. And that's indeed going to be the correct assumption here, as we see this adapt into the Stalker with Warpgate being researched. It's most likely going to be Twilight or Robo. I'm feeling Twilight more than Robo majority of the time. No shot. Okay, it's Twilight. It's a really late Twilight, by the way. I was almost floating 50 gas there. So for a second I thought it was going to be a Stargate anyway. I would look like an absolute donkey. But luckily, Trigger did not make me look like a donkey. Although there's nothing wrong with donkeys. Donkeys are relatively smart as well. You can teach them a lot of stuff. I really like donkeys. I think they're superior to horses in many ways. Horses are kind of large and scary. Well, donkeys, they're kind of in between the goat and the horse, you know? It's the perfect creature. It's larger than a goat. I really like goats, by the way. Full disclosure. And it doesn't feel like you would be capable of you know, nicely cuddling a horse like you can with like a goat. And I think you could do that with a donkey as well. I think donkeys are very underrated animals as you know, just companions to have around. I think dogs are fairly overrated. Low intelligence animals. Stupidly loyal. Goats are the actual goats. I'm not surprised that people call the greatest of all time the goat. And sure, the abbreviation works well, but I also think it has something to do with the animal, the goat, which is being a fantastic animal. Now, with that out of the way, this is an interesting push that is designed to kill Stargate openers. And as there's no Stargate opener, it's not going to kill this. This instead will lose 4 or 5 Marines. It is a poor start because you have a Cyclone. Cyclones are complete garbage. Fact. Cyclone, okay, if I were a Terran player, I'd be consistently whining about how bad the Cyclone is in every situation that isn't stopping an Oracle from dealing damage. This is a 3 supply unit that has no purpose going into the mid game. None. It's completely useless. Hot garbage. And he built 2 of them. That is 6 supply and a crap ton of resources invested into a unit that will provide no value whatsoever. This could be actually a tank push with a 2-Rex. This is a build order we don't see very often because, well, quite frankly, it's pretty bad. It doesn't have the power of a tank push with a 3-Rex. It doesn't have the combat shields. It just has stim. It doesn't have a very high marine count. It doesn't have a lot of transition possibilities either. Like it's basically like eating healthy ice cream, you know? It's like ice cream made of broccoli. It's like you're still going to be getting a lot of calories and it tastes like crap. It's the same with this push out. Like, it is not a super all-in like with the 3-Rex, but it is all-in enough that you can't properly transition out of it, but it just lacks the oomph of, you know, your marshmallow ice cream. This really is the broccoli ice cream of build orders. It's not great. No one really likes it. Except Milkicow, apparently. So I know what to get him next time I meet him. It's a nice tub of broccoli ice cream. Yeah, this push is terrible. And it's also going to completely fail as a result. 3rd CC gets built behind it. Starport also gets constructed. And now somehow Milkicow needs to salvage this position. If he loses the tanks on the retreat, this position will be close to unholdable once charge finishes. If he loses all of his bio, taking a 3rd base also is going to be hell. Yeah, this is... Milkicow is going to continue reinforcing this position, and as a result we'll lose just more units. Charge not quite finished yet, but it's not going to matter. Immortals moving forward, Marauders get taken out, and I don't want to say this is practically game, because at the tail end of that trade, he still gets a couple of Stalkers. The supplies are surprisingly equal. The worker count for Trigger isn't as high as it should be, as he didn't have continuous worker production. But the main problem here will be taking the 3rd base right now. There's going to be a very, very low amount of bio units. We're still working off of 2 barracks. One of those barracks just producing Marauders, which build slow, and you can only build them 1 at a time. There's no production on the factory. So it's going to be 2 tanks against 8, I guess. This is 8. It's 4 right now, plus 4 more. 4 plus 4, you double it. Remove 2, plus 3. 8 gateways. With plus 1, Charge done, Templar Archives done as well. The Prism, I think, is out as well. Double Immortals. The only thing we're lacking right now is a Sentry. The Sentry would definitely contribute to this army. But we're not seeing it warped in. I mean, Guardian Shield always is very, very useful. Very, very useful. Third Immortal on the way is somewhat surprising because it's going to lower the amount of gateway units that you have. And I think if you want to go for a bust... Oh, he's not going to go for a bust. Huh. Not going to go for a bust, huh? That is a mistake, actually. Or he's going to go for a bust with Storm. But I also think that is a mistake. I think you wanted to bust the moment this moves out. Look how little bio units there are. And the tank backbone is too small as well. He's going to start moving out across the map right now, though. Okay, another Zealot warp in. This is the slowest move out I've seen in my life. Cannons being built as well, so preparing for like a mine drop. Behind this should be a fort base, as well as a robo bay and a second robotics facility. You don't want to make this into an all-in bust. You just want this to be a bust where you can transition out of it after you kill like 15 workers, basically. That's the plan. And the only way you lose is to a follow-up ghost attack with some tanks. And that's why you want the robo bay as well as the robotics facility here. Second robotics facility. Getting Templar at home. Oh, wait, he's actually moving these across the map. So, okay, well, we'll see how this push goes. And then we can criticize after if it fails. Still believe that this push is just going to succeed. Because there's a bunch of storms available. There's a lot of money in the bank, by the way. Yeah, 8 more Zealots are being warped in right now. Still Immortals out as well. The tanks have fallen. I'm not even quite sure how fast that happened, but it must have happened pretty quick. Here comes the Templar. One Templar in the back is walking in. Not a single storm has landed yet. Ooh, a lot of these mines are going to get taken out. At the same time, 10 workers falling as well. By this one Zealot in the main base is dealing a fair amount of damage. We need another warp in over here. Robo Bay is being constructed at home. 8 Stalkers warping in. Another Immortal coming in. GG just gets called here out of Milkicow. Realizes there is no point. As Trigger wins the game, wins the series with a 2-1 score. And I like the switch up in that final game. Not opting to go for the Stargates again, as he said, you know what, it didn't really work out that well despite my win. And makes a quick change up, wins the game pretty easily. Good job there out of Trigger, showing that the North American up-and-comer is slightly better than the European. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Thank you, and bye-bye.